Forge the Narrative.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. If I did it right, you may have heard some new intro music. Rest assured, this is the same show. My name is Paul, your host of the Bella Lost Halls podcast. I'm joined today by Chris Morgan and Justin Troop.
Brutal.
What up?
And Ricky Addington.
Is this the same show?
It is, or it is now anyway. It's going to be a jam-packed episode. I actually have a player spotlight, and we've got a segment for the Gaming Retreat Battle Haven coming up. And then I'm not sure when you'll hear the Sigmar part. We have a lot of Sigmar content coming. I don't know if I'll include it on this show or if it will be its own release. We'll let that be a mystery. But if it's in the show, it'll be in the show notes. And if it's in its own show, it'll have a special title. But really looking forward to talking about that. I mean, this release of Sigmar is awesome.
I think we're going to be talking about it for a while. I'm pretty excited. So
there's a bunch
you're
of
going to
stuff.
hear about it.
Yeah, the Sigmar segment's got Ricky and I kind of gushing over the new core rules, but we'll leave that for the segment. As you know, we had the Louisville Slugga this past weekend in Louisville. We had a little over 40 people registered. We finished up with 38 because two of the guys overslept.
You'll get that on them big jobs. It happens every time. Classic rookie mistake.
I call that the classic Ricky mistake, actually.
I get up. I just
you regret it.
Monsters.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I regret. I just regret everything before.
First time I'd spent any significant time in Louisville, and it's an awesome city. We went to, on Friday night, we had a social activity where several people from the tournament that were participating the next day showed up to hang out. It was called the Troll Pub. It has it's a little bit of a gimmick. You actually, the restaurant, you go downstairs, so you're kind of like one level below the street, and there's a big troll that you can take a selfie with that I did, and it's right next to Cardinal Stadium in a really cool looking part of town. It's a big city, but it's still got some kind of small city feel to it. And then everybody, coming in from out of town, coming to the bar and hanging out that night was really cool because the tournament didn't kick off until noon the next day.
That is one heck of a start time. Bravo to whoever made that decision.
Well, it's good thinking. It really is. I don't know if it's actually, I think I heard you say something about that's the way the location. That's how they run the tournaments.
The store wanted to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that was good or not, but just from like an outsider, if I had heard that going in, I think I would be very happy with that.
Well, no one really seemed to mind, and especially hanging out before, it gave some people some additional travel time. And now we did
more
go
pre-game
a little bit later. I mean, we had we did full 3-hour rounds, and most of a high percentage of the games came to an organic, natural conclusion. We ended up playing a little bit later that night. We catered in dinner. It was just pizza, so I shouldn't say just pizza. It was good pizza, but we brought in pizza for dinner that night, and then on Sunday we brought in barbecue for lunch, and it was very tasty.
That's legit. That's that kind of stuff that is unique. That when people do that, it really makes the event just stand out from others. There's a couple others that do this too, and that's kind of I don't want to call it their claim to fame, but it's just that customer service and that experience that you get from that kind of deal is just so much better.
Got to give away some door prizes, some t-shirts, and some dice. The swag for the event was pretty cool. This is all courtesy of the Bourbon Brothers, the folks that helped me put on the tournament. And I mean, couldn't have done it without them. Of course, they're from the Louisville area and provided all the terrain, all everybody played on a battle mat. I mean, just set the tournament up. Let me crash with them. I mean, it was absolutely awesome in a really cool teamwork environment. Really made my heart feel good about the whole experience. And I think that translated into a very good event. And this will be a regular thing.
All right.
You think you're going to get any bigger?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had what was going to be space for more players, but it actually would have put us in a different segmented part of the store if we did that. So I'm happy with what we've got. I think the plan is to move locations, but it seemed like the enthusiasm for the event was high, and will precipitate some growth. I like to give away a bunch of stuff, a bunch of prizes, and we were able to do that. And I'll actually list off some of the winners. We gave away a best display award that went to Red Powell. We gave a best painted model award, and this was actually a really nice St. Celestine that belongs to Jeremy Applebaum, and then a best conversion, which went to Mike Ralston, who had a really neat his whole army was themed this way. It was almost like a woodland / stag themed Custodes army. So all of them had, they were, kind of built up in a stag, almost like a heraldry theme, and complete with like a forest display board and all converted miniatures, including the dreadnoughts. So again, it was really nice. You got the best conversion award. 2 other grand tournaments in the Chicagoland Grand Tournament, and then we gave away a ticket for the tournament at Gen Con. So we gave away other tournament tickets. As part of this is additional prizes. This is not his main prizes, additional prizes, for this, and donated, by, Gary Frank and Jeremy Applebaum for their tournaments that they run. I will try to put those tournaments in the show notes. We did group awards. I love doing that. This is something where you're competing against other people that just for points. It doesn't change your Swiss pairings throughout the tournament, but you're competing just against people that finish similar to you on day 1. So we're able to give away 6 prizes, and for the first and second place for each group. And then we had a best of categories, where we had the best sport, which we gave 3 placings. Tyler White winning the best sport, Red Powell winning 2nd place, and Tony Malave winning 3rd place in that. That is an extremely competitive field. I mean, the kind of camaraderie of the event was pretty special, if you ask me. I mean, these are people playing kind of knockdown, drag out games, very competitive, from different gaming groups, and playing missions that they only had some amount of playtesting going up to this, and still competing for the top spots, but yet everybody got sportsmanship votes, right? Pretty much
nice.
Everyone. Yeah, it's really cool to see that. Best appearance, Zach Bowles got 1st place for Manbeard Gaming.
I know him.
Yeah.
Great dude, and he can paint.
Hung out with him on Saturday night. We actually went to this kind of burger dive place on Saturday night and did have a delicious burger. Mike Ralston got 2nd place, and Sean Mulhall got 3rd place with Necrons.
I like the
nice.
You've been spending a lot of time just talking about the different kinds of awards that people are getting. It's so much more multi-dimensional than you painted the best and you won the best and you did the combination the best or whatever, It seems like best conversion, for example. I haven't actually seen a best conversion award at an event yet.
John, that's the organizer on the Bourbon Brothers side got medals for everyone, so everyone got a little prize and a medal.
That's legit.
I mean, yeah.
That stuff matters for real, though. It makes you feel so much better when you walk away with that stuff. 3 years from now, it's that kind of stuff that's going to matter. In the best general category, Justin Curtis won 1st place in the best general category. Ryan Olson 2nd, and Elliot Levy is 3rd place in that. For the best of in those major categories, able to give away the exclusive Shapeways created trophies with the Forged Narrative logo on there. These are put up pictures, but it's basically a skull, a floating skull on a pile of dice with a logo. It looks awesome. It's part of our series of how to get things from your mind to a physical object, and Shapeways makes that pretty darn easy. And turned that into some trophies. I painted the trophies and we're able to give them away.
They look really good
cool.
too. Yeah,
had that little candle on top.
Oh yeah, a little melting candle.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, try to make them look exciting. I think they did that. They ended up turning pretty good. And again, that's the kind of stuff you hold on to several years down the road after you've traded that army off, or you've painted it, or that box of miniatures is still on the shelf. You don't even remember where you got it, but you'll remember where you pick up these trophies and medals.
Yep.
All right, you got to tell me what was out there. What kind of crazy combos did we see? Was there anything unique?
My God, it was a complete mixed bag of armies. The best general was rocking Magnus and Mortarion.
The Bash Brothers, I like it.
And a bunch of Zangors.
Yeah, those don't suck.
An Eldar 4-flyer list. The list is not even too dissimilar from what I plan on taking to the ATC. There was an Orc list that was doing really well. The Orc list actually kind of got stymied by some difficult matchups. It was a very strong Stormboy heavy list.
I like it.
I love Storm Boys.
Yes, several Tau being represented. There was an AdMech army. I mean, it was almost 40 unique list.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome to hear, because the one thing that I always enjoy when you go to these events and conventions and stuff like that, and these GTs, is seeing the diversity of people, how people think and create their lists. And that, to me, like, to hear that it was that diverse and that diverse.
Yeah, it was diverse.
That's awesome.
On top of it was diverse squared, I think. I don't think you typically see that. I mean, you can see the list in BCP. So you might see some elements of things that you're familiar with. But as far as like list for list, I mean, there was just a ton of different things. There was even a Death Watch list that did extremely well, playing on table 3 in round 5.
That's what I'm talking about.
Playing against some Nurgle, I mean, again, and doing well. I mean, this is, part of it is the mission set itself too. It enables different types of builds than you might have seen recently. Not that I'm not saying it's better or worse or whatever. I'm just saying that the missions, these are a lot of competitive people that played towards the mission, and then you've got some number of people that just brought what they wanted to bring. So when you add that to those two things together, you get 30-ish unique list. But all in all, enthusiasm stayed high. We brought in, for the appearance judges, we brought in a complete independent paint judge. This guy's an amazing painter. He's on one of the 30k podcast. And I'll put do
you know which one?
I'll put the show notes. I'll put that in the show notes as well. But he's an amazing painter. Brought him in to judge the paints and the appearance. So, and it matched the rubric. Actually, we used the hobby track that fed into the ITC.
That's something that you helped design, right, Paul?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And but not without input from most of the tournament organizers out there in the ITC organizer Facebook group. But there's been actually talk, since we used it in one of these what ended up being a grand tournament event. There's been some chat about it, and I think it's going to get even more traction. You're going to see more people competing in that spot.
That'll be a lot of fun because I've got a lot of friends who really go hard on painting and just enjoy the hobby and don't really try to compete too hard tournament, like, in the games so much, but they just want to go and enjoy it. So it'll be really neat to see them rewarded, I guess, more nationally. They'll be able to kind of see how they place nationally.
Well, there is a whole separate
globally.
Track. Like when you go to the ITC rankings, there's now a hobby split off where you can see these best of in the categories.
Yeah, that's great.
And BCP, you'll soon be able to upload pictures of these armies as well.
Yeah, that's a tool that is really picking up steam. Like, they're advancing their features and what they're bringing to the table more and more. Like, it almost seems like every week. It's truly game changing how we've come so far in such a short amount of time.
It's a shame Val isn't here because I wanted to tell him that I thought his interview with Paul McKelvey went really well on last week's episode.
Yeah, it was good. Good to hear the origins and some direction of where they're going. And as things develop, we'll definitely have them on again. That was really cool to get that segment in the show. We also talked about knights last week, and I'll say that the hobby is strong with the knight players out there. It's really cool to see the machines walk and awaken, as it were, and seeing all the kit bashes and conversions that people are doing for these things.
I don't know if y'all know this or not, but knights are the best.
Right after we got off the show, Ricky, I think you pointed out there was a new knight that we didn't necessarily talk about.
Like, we totally just skipped out on the fact that we're getting a new knight. Like, somehow we just completely missed that.
Now, granted, knights, right?
Yeah. Well, granted, it's it's basically probably going to just be like a little add-on kit to a regular knight, because it's basically a weapon swap. But we completely just kind of somehow neglected to mention, oh, hey, we're getting a knight that's going to let armigers, armigers and, and Helverins, actually.
Yeah, it's household armiger class units within 6 inches of this model reroll hit rolls of 1.
Yeah, this is going to be good. Because I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Helverins are really fun to shoot with. So,
I am still kind of disappointed that they didn't call the little knights squires.
I think that would have been a bit too much on the nose, don't you think? Well,
I don't know. I don't think there is such a thing as too much on the nose when it comes to 40k.
Well, I think the pilots of these things are, they're captains or whatever. Their nobility, and not that squires can't be, but already accomplished by the time you get behind the wheel of one of these things.
It's a great Heath Ledger movie.
I love that movie.
What, A Knight's Tale? The
yeah.
movie was so good. It was
Guilty
fun.
pleasure. Love it.
It was fun. Yeah. If you didn't walk out of that movie with a smile, then I don't want to be your friend.
I think I saw it 3 times in the theater.
Man, look out, rich boy. Calm down.
I don't.
Jeez,
I didn't
whoa.
say. I didn't
Probably
say
got
I paid for
popcorn and
those
everything,
tickets.
didn't he?
I didn't say I paid for those tickets. It was a different time back then.
Oh, the 90s.
Oh, but yeah, the Knight Preceptor, which comes with the Reaper Chainsword, Las Impulsor, Heavy Stubber, and Titanic Feet.
Yeah, and I don't hate the Las Impulsor. Now, I think his price tag is up there. You know, I think he's pricey. But the Las Impulsor is a fun weapon. It's got 2 modes of fire, and we all know how much I love multiple modes of fire on weapons. I love that.
The Knight Preceptor is 100 more points than the base model of the Gallant and like the Paladin models.
Yeah.
It's 385, but the Las Impulsor is 0 points. You know, and a Heavy Stubber is dirt cheap, and the Reaper Chainsword is 30 points. So.
Oh yeah. Well, in that case. Yeah, let me just retract everything I just said because I think I just missed the fact that the Las Impulsor was free. So let me back up. Hey guys, just go ahead and put that in your list.
Well, no, it's still a little bit more. I think it's still a little bit more expensive if you're going on the 5 Gallant plan.
Well, you know, if we're doing the Heffelfinger, let's just call it the Heffel maneuver. Which, you know, what's funny, and let me just back up. And I don't ever, and I would never say this if he were here tonight, but like I found myself at the last tournament kind of wishing I had more Gallants, and I could not bring myself to tell Val, hey man, kind of wish I had more Gallants. But I played in a tournament this past weekend.
Well, you were pretty much using what you had, right? You re-optimized for the Codex release. In
fairness, all my Knights are magnetized. I could have made the 5 Gallants, but I took I just had the 1 Gallant in there, and so my list was a Lancer, a Gallant, a Paladin, an Errant, and 2 Helverins. And so I just really kind of put a variety out there just to kind of see how they'd play. And I swear, like the Gallant hitting on 2s, having 5 attacks base, and then if you go ahead and make him your Seneschal and give him 6 attacks, that's 18s of the Titanic Feet attacks.
Yeah.
Dude, like who cares about battle cannons? Who cares about lances and Helverins and all this stuff?
And you can still use the Death Grip stratagem.
Oh my gosh, like Oh, I got a Satan with Death Grip. I burned every command point I had on it, and it was the highlight of my tournament. People were cheering about it across the room. And so people are very excited about Death Grip, as we knew they would be. Death Grip did exactly what Death Grip was supposed to do, and it was fantastic.
So how did you balance in your list, or how did you feel about the lack of real command points, significant command points?
It felt like I was playing with kind of my arm tied behind my back to an extent. So I missed the command points. There were so many opportunities where I was like, gosh, if I just had a command point. Like I was as much fun as I was having, I was very, very angry with GW and the whole not allowing Helverins to participate or to contribute towards, that detachment. To getting those command points, because we're so command point starved. And as a purist, Chris and I are how we are. Chris and I like to make lists
you prefer to have when you're playing with an army, it's everybody from that army. It's not a mismatch of stuff. It's not an allied force.
It would be so easy to just drop out the Helverins, put in 180 points of Astra Militarum, and get an easy 5 command points. But it's just, to me, it's not fun. And for a lot of players, that's not what we want to do to enjoy it. And so it just
I'm not using this ironically, but you're forging a narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
With a full household of knights, and that's what you want to play with in that situation.
And so, to me, knights are not so powerful that they needed that, because it makes it hard for us to enjoy our codex, because we can't actually do so many things that are there. So I was a little bummed about that, but overall I had really fun games, and I know it didn't feel like it to one of my opponents, but it was really close. Like going into the games, all they saw were big giant robots were breathing down their necks, and all I was seeing was, oh my gosh, I'm about to lose all of my big giant robots. So it was a much closer game than it looked like, because I still had quite a few knights on the table for most of my games, but they weren't seeing the fact that most of my knights were still down to 7-8 wounds apiece. Luckily I was playing Hawkshroud, so
when you don't have a lot of command points, the stratagem like the Valiant Last Stand, which is 2 command points, that you're going to ideally use that later in the game. You might not have enough, or you may save them for that, and then that situation never arises where it's really profitable to do that.
Yeah. How many did you have? 4, right?
Well, I had 6 total, because I had 3 and 3.
Oh, okay.
So
6 is somewhat respectable.
Yeah, it was okay. It just, is really missing out on being able, because one of the missions was Ascension, so you wanted characters in there. So here I was paying command points to make some characters, and then I literally started pretty much every game with 4 command points, and that was it. And so trying to run through and not able to really do much of anything kind of made it, it felt like I was being restricted. So in the future, I may look at having some guardsmen in there just so I can try to do more of the fun stuff.
Well,
but overall,
I get what you're saying though, but there is that part when that's kind of the going to the competitive side is sometimes you got to make some compromises in your list.
Right, yeah.
But that is a choice that everyone has to make.
Yeah. It's just, it always feels like Astra Militarum doesn't have to make that choice. So,
everyone has to make that choice except guard players.
Except Astra Militarum, yeah. And so it's, it just, I think overall, it just always taints it just a little when you're like, oh, I could really be, I'm having fun here, but I could just do things a little bit better if I just paid that guard tax. I just don't like that guard tax is a thing.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Ricky.
Yeah.
I would love to have the option without feeling like I am wearing some kind of, weights or something without doing it. I'd like to still be able to play at full strength without having that sort of thing. And even though, it's not a narrative stretch to think that a guard battalion would fight beside any of these things, right? It's about
it totally fits.
Who you want to be on the table. Like, we wouldn't have so many disparate factions in 40k if everybody was okay with just being the same thing.
Yeah, my only thing that I ask of you is that you use whatever guard figures are for the regiment that you're picking.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean I can't use Cadian models and call them Destroyers?
I would really prefer you didn't do that.
I'm not going to say prefer. I'm going to boo you.
Or if you're using Death Corps of Krieg or something for Catechins, I'm going to make fun of you all the time.
But I can't buy them anymore, Paul Murphy.
Culture of shame.
They're antiques, man. Come on. Let him use them. They're antiques.
I'm just saying, if I have to hear that dude in the trench coat is Harker, you're going to be made fun of.
And that's another thing. I just really dislike the Cadian models, like the infantry models.
Bruh, gun show. Deal with it. How do you not?
They remind me of Spaceballs. The helmets on Spaceballs.
No,
well, there's
dude,
a variety.
I'm laughing because I see it.
There is a variety. You get a wealth of figures to pick from. I'm just saying, if you choose a regiment, I would prefer that you show up with the figures for the regiment.
Yeah, 100%. And it's distracting. Like from a competitive standpoint, you could almost make a case for actually saying something to somebody. And I'm not the kind of guy to be like, look, dude, I'm not going to play you because you're clearly.
No, not at all.
Not that. But as a player, when I come up to the table, look, usually I am drinking, have been drinking, or drunk too much already, and so like I don't need to be trying to remember everything. And so I'm going to walk up to a table, see Cadians, and think Cadians, and then all of a sudden I charge some strength 4 Cadians. Oh, you're Catagen, my bad.
I'm not necessarily like that because they're all the right size and they're all going to be equipped the right way. So I'm really just being a little facetious here, but I'm just saying for you guys, I hold you to a higher standard.
Oh yeah, as you should. should, because I am quite the WYSIWYG snob, I guess. But
I think I would just shock anybody, really, if I brought anything but pure Blood Angels to a table at this point.
I would legitimately have a heart attack.
I would ask you if you were okay. Yeah, I definitely would.
I would have assumed hell had just frozen over.
I'd be like, oh, was there a car wreck or something? Did your models get hurt?
Was there a fire?
Was there a fire? Oh my God, are you okay? How's the family?
No, I keep some in reserve in like a separate storage facility.
He's got like when Chris passes away, like they're gonna find like his like will and a key and a map, and like they're gonna think it's like his inheritance or something, and his son gets there and it's literally just like Blood Angels models.
Fit company to
just sitting
that. But
it's all of his Terminators. It's his Terminators, not even the good stuff. It's Terminator armor.
My future in-laws asked me to set up a battle scene around my wedding cake. That's how bad this is, guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, sounds like you're marrying into the right kind of family then, if they're going to allow that.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Coming up, the next big tournament that I have anyway coming up, and Ricky too, I suppose, is the ATC.
Paul, I think you're forgetting my local store tournament on the 23rd, okay? I don't know what this ATC is. Is that a local thing?
Technically, what you forgot was our practice day, but we're not going to go into that, which is also happening on the 23rd, which we might turn into a tournament. We might turn into a full-on Wrong Way Kid tournament, but we'll see what the fun
I feel like you're doing that. You're doing that out of spite. ATC. I've heard of this.
Well, there are going to be hundreds of people playing 40K.
Oh, that's a pretty good turnout for an
event. This is a sold-out event for the 40K side, and they've added a bunch of other events. There is also a hobby swap meet or a cosplay swap meet type stuff that they have there. There are other actual vendors there in both section, in both they have like a vendors hall. There's all kind of games going on. It is a massive, massive event, and we are going to be getting ready for that. As you know, I've told you I'm bringing some degenerate Eldar list, and I'm going to do some testing on it, try to figure out how degenerate I can make it. I'm telling you, it's 5 flyers, so I don't know how much more actual Eldar models I can put in there, but it's basically just a question of how many Dark Reapers do I put in with the 5 flyers.
I mean, that's pretty much it, yeah. And the best part of ATC is there's no shame in it, because everyone else is doing something bonkers too, to try to counter another list, or, to just really go hard with one tactic, so that when the team captain does the matchups, you've given yourself that really strong advantage. So it's
the
such
extreme gotcha.
Yeah, but when everybody's doing it, and that is the tactic, right? Like that's the tactic is to do that. It's fun going into that when everybody is expecting that and gunning for it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think there's 2 different ways you can play it. You can play it with trying to exploit that and feeling like you're always going to be in a position to do that, or you can go with like true ground pounding fundamentals. And truth be told, most of our team list are a bit of kind of like ground pounding fundamental type list.
I'm going to assume that that's my list, because as every year, I don't pick my list. I just show up and roll dice. And that way I have complete deniability for anything. I accept no responsibility for actions taken.
We did some cram sessions in the hotel in the Best Western. We get some of the larger rooms there at the Best Western. We set up gaming tables and actually played 2-3 games to get Ricky up to speed on his list, and it paid off because you did really well.
Paid off. I did real well last year. My back got tired. I'm going to be honest, Paul. So I've been doing some squats. I think I'm.
You gotta hydrate. Ready. You gotta listen to the spot with Jeff Robinson.
Do some planks.
Got to work my core out.
Yep.
So I have to carry the team again this year. Let's be honest. I ain't carrying the team this year. Like last year just worked.
I hope you. We'll see. You might be. I mean, I'll be over there crying, by turn 2 and all my flyers are dead, and I got 2 or 3 Guardians trying to run up the table and win the game. I didn't have points for anything else. We'll see how that goes.
You're going to go up against a 5 Sakaran list and just hate your life.
Oh man, we'll see.
I'm not going to say. I shouldn't have said that. I've jinxed it now.
Well, they can't have 5 Sakarans, but I'm sure there are 5.
Oh yeah, it's fair. Yeah,
it's going to be 3 Sakarans and 2 Doom Crawlers.
Yeah. In no way is that better. That's still really bad for your list.
Like, how did this happen? I picked the list. How did this? I picked
No.
my opponent and I picked my own list. How did this happen?
You don't let your list be the drop list. I'm gonna put this out first. What you got?
We're gonna try. We're on our practice day, which is the 23rd. We're gonna try to do a lot of coverage of our practice and everybody hanging out. It's gonna be a bunch of people over here. Gonna bring in some dinner and stuff so we can just jam some games. It should be a pretty fun time. I'm really looking forward to. It's before the list submission date is. Everyone has to turn in their list early. This is both for an effort to be reviewed by the organizers themselves, and it will go up for peer review because the idea is to have, everyone have just a functionally correct list.
And my favorite thing, yeah, absolutely. And my favorite thing about it is you put your list up there and everybody can see it. So everybody knows what everybody's bringing. You can start thinking about it. And one of the best aspects of it, I mean, there's always been scandals, where a list has been illegal or something like that. But when we do this, it's, hey, none of us caught it either. So
what really
who's really to fault?
People pour over these lists because
they
start
catch it,
graphing out matchups. They say, if we play this team, then this is what our strategy is. If we play that team, then this is what my strategy is. And so they are pouring over these lists, looking for those things. And there are some gotchas in 40k list building. And if I can talk just about one or two of them, for instance, the auxiliary detachment. So if you're taking something if you're taking, let's say, a Custodes banner guy in an auxiliary detachment, you can't spend a command point from your guard battery to give him a relic banner because he can't use the stratagem to take the second relic.
I don't even know if I knew that.
In the section of most, I think it's in all the codexes, in that top section, right above the relics, it'll say something to that effect. Like, for instance, I'm going to go to Death Watch. I was in the stratagems. If your army is Battleforged and includes any Death Watch detachments, excluding auxiliary support detachments, you have access to the stratagems shown here and can spend command points to activate them.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, that is some common language that is in the stratagem section. I believe in every single one of the codexes.
That's just smart rules writing. I mean, to be truthful, there's always that one really, really standout stratagem, and this prevents people from just doing exactly what you said to get that stratagem into their list. So I really like that they do that anyway.
I've never personally seen someone violate that rule, but when you're trying to grind out that last little bit of advantage, I think that is one of the things that could get easily lost, especially if you're dipping into a faction that you don't normally play with. You might overlook that.
Yeah, that's where I always run into a problem if I'm trying to do a list that's not Dark Angels. Because
you run into a problem with your list that are Dark Angels, but
yeah, well, hey, I've got a really good Dark Angels list. Now that equates to a pretty okay list, but I got a really good Dark Angels list. Yeah, so I'm just that's my wheelhouse, right? So anytime I go out of it, I am prone to make mistakes because I'm not as fluent in, every stratagem or the way everything works. So sometimes stuff will slip through on people. And that's what's that's what's great about the way ATC does it is, you can catch things like that, and we all kind of can help each other be honest. That way we don't go there, because heaven forbid, what's the worst thing that happens? Your team wins the tournament, and then you find out that something was wrong with your list, and then you just feel, you feel terrible. So it's, this is a good way to keep everything on the up and up, and everybody knows and can plan for it. And it's a good policing method.
So July 13th and 15th is the ATC, and it is a full 3-day event this year. And this is coming up. But yeah, they will release the list for everyone to pour over. And, they prize pretty deep too. They got lots of individual awards and team awards. And this is a can't miss event. Obviously, a lot of people have felt the same way because they did sell out already. That is not common for a team event, or this is typically an event that, it'll get a week or so out, and then the teams will fill up. But this is filled up over a month in advance.
Yeah, team events, it's kind of funny because team events historically, or, I guess I should say, on average, seem to be a harder sell. It's always hard to get, 3-4 people together for a team event. And then you have ATC, which first off is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's just not what you expect to have the maybe the biggest team event in the country. Right there.
Easily the biggest, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now.
And it's like, you would expect that to be in some huge place, or, at some big, you would expect that to be at Adepticon or Nova Open or something like that.
For attendance with Adepticon.
Yeah.
But that, by the way, those tournaments, for especially team events, are magnitudes larger than anything close. So
yeah, but the fact that we're getting how many 500 and some people?
Well, it's 78 teams times 5.
Oh my goodness,
that's a lot.
I'm doing hold on, 390. Woo, that's a lot of people. So I think and
Adepticon's like 100 and something teams at 4 people a team.
Oh yeah. Old Chattanooga loves ATC. My gosh, you can't get a hotel around there, but it's a fun time. I love it.
It is. If you're even in the area and you don't have a team yet, come check it out, because there are tons of other things going on. Plus,
no, listen. Not to interrupt you. If you're in the area, bring your army and just kind of let people know that you're there. Oh, yes. My first time there, I remember, and we're down a player.
Well, one of our players got pulled over for a suspended license and taken to jail.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say it, but no names. But yeah,
no names.
So, it's the Wild East back there.
I walk in my first ATC, and I'm like looking around. There's just people everywhere, and Paul just has this look on his face, like he's ready to punch something. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong? He's like, insert name here is in jail. And I was like, what? It was something out of his.
Our act is together. Like this doesn't occur. But you are talking about like all the various tragedies that can befall team events. Like half of the tournament is just showing up on tournament day with everyone that's on the team.
And that's what's so scary about a team event, right? Because it's like it's not just you. You have to convince your friends to make it to this event, and you know how Warhammer players are. It's like herding kittens, and so like. Just the feat of getting 5 people there, you're already a winner. Okay, just for getting all your people there, and then to go on and play and everything, it's a great time. But yeah, there was a guy there, and luckily Paul had the army, and it was like that scene in Independence Day. I could fly. I'm a pilot.
He's a good player too. We lucked out.
He stepped up.
Ricky, that might be the truest thing you've ever said.
We lucked out with David. David was his name. We absolutely lucked out.
Great dude. Great. Super fun. He was. Yeah. Oh, great. That's awesome.
Got to hang out.
Yeah. It was just like he came in. He was like the Legion of the Damned. He came in, he did what needed to be done, and then he just kind of disappeared. And I don't think I've seen him since. But yeah, he was a great dude. That's awesome.
We're going to wrap up. We'll wrap up this segment, but we're going to have some articles being published about the Slugga coming up soon, and going to be doing of course, talking some recapping from the event, and maybe have some player spotlights. I want to make the player spotlight a somewhat regular thing. I don't know if that's going to be every other week or at least once a month or whatever, because I want to showcase some of the awesome people that you encounter at tournaments. You see them over and over again at these things, and really great people to hang out with and to play against, and again, it's a lot of people that are playing tournaments now, especially with the enthusiasm of 8th, but it's bringing out a lot of good people, and I want to try to highlight some of that where we can.
Yeah, there's so much negative attention about, the couple of people who show up and deliver a bad experience here or there, or very publicly make some big mistakes. People just seem to forget about all of the people who have great games that don't necessarily get to have, the entire internet turn to them and be like, what happened in your game? Well,
and that's human beings have a negativity bias. Just think about that. It's just like when you go home and your wife goes, "Hey, how was your day?" And you're immediately, "Oh, well, this and this happened." But we don't talk about all the things that went right, because we always want to talk about the things that went wrong. But
that's still no excuse to play Xenos.
No, but and that's the thing. You go to a tournament, a 5-round tournament. You have 4 great games and 1 bad game. Man, focus on those 4 great games you had. Like, let that bad game just kind of wash away. Hey, it happened. But, man, lift up the people that made your day great and lift up the people that make your hobby great and focus on that.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that with the people that we consistently see that make a positive impact on everyone around them. And if we can highlight that, we certainly will. I did leave out 2 award categories talking about the Slugga, and I apologize. The most First Bloods went to Tyler Sansone. We actually did the old school First Blood to where you got it, or you didn't, where the missions actually kind of favor you to go second in some cases. So this was, I thought they would everything balance it out. And I think that like splitting First Blood is kind of silly. So,
that's fair.
You don't like to evenly spill blood with your opponent?
I like to avoid that aggression.
Tell me it was called the John Rambo Memorial First Blood Award.
But it should have. It will be next time.
It better be.
And then the Wooden Spoon Award, last place went to Adam Martin, and we actually awarded a Legion game.
Hey, very subtle, Paul.
But he played. I mean, again, this high participation the whole time, and it was an absolute great event, if you ask me. And hopefully, some other people echo that. That we'll try to get some information published out. But let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back and we will do the Battle Haven segment, and then after that, we'll do another segment, probably the player spotlight. I think I might put the Sigmar episode on its own thing and maybe attach some other stuff to it. But guys, thank y'all for joining me for this part, and we'll see y'all next week.
Cheers.
Hold tight, everybody. We'll be right back.
FTN is brought to you by Bell of Lost Souls. Check out www.bols.org for the best daily hobby articles on the web.
Hey everybody, welcome to this jam-packed episode of Forge the Narrative. I'm joined today by Chris Morgan and Sarah Hollingshead.
Hello.
Hey.
Sarah, I don't know if you were informed by Chris, but I took a week off 2 weeks ago, and so I'm trying to make it up by just having like jam-packed episodes, longer than we normally do.
That's awesome.
Thanks for coming and joining us and being a part of this.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You've been on the show before, and we're here to talk about the same thing. This is Battle Haven, a gaming retreat, a gaming resort in Utah.
Yeah. We put it on in Utah in the beautiful mountains and in Heber City, which is just a beautiful, gorgeous area. People will know it because it's near Park City and film festivals and all the wonderful things that go on out here in addition to skiing and everything Utah. So
if people go to battlehaven.us, they will get to see some of the pictures of the gorgeous area and where is it held? It's not held it's not in a hotel.
It's not. It's a private resort, actually. It's a 20-acre resort, and it's got a private lake. It's just beautifully situated. We have the whole 20 acres to ourselves. Gorgeous, huge kitchen and serving areas and gaming areas and a ton of on-site amenities. It's really beautiful. I did add a lot of additional pictures recently.
It's a vacation spot. I mean, this is where people go to vacation, even if there's no other reason to go.
Right. That is the reason to go. It's such a beautiful place.
So what you've added more to that. You're throwing a lot of gaming and activities and fun, like themed activities into the mix.
We are, because doesn't that sound perfect? I mean, if it's going to be beautiful and a wonderful place to go, why not do your favorite pastime? So have that be the center of it all. So we're totally excited about this. We've been doing this for a number of years, and this is the third Battle Haven that we'll be putting on. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome, and we're getting a bunch of lead time for this one. You've moved the date out until May. So the next Battle Haven event is going to be May 14th through the 18th, 2019.
That is correct.
And there's a really good reason for that. I mean, you guys have a structure for how people can register because this is a vacation. It's not a tournament. This is there's organized play, and then there's free play, and then there's everything to do around there. So, I mean, it's a destination, and you've got some good plans for people that may not be able to just do this. They can arrange it over time.
That's exactly right. There's a couple of reasons, like you said. One of the reasons is I really wanted to have the event in the spring instead of the fall. I like the idea. We're moving into the warmer months, and it's so beautiful in Utah during that time of year. And I was also looking for a time when I was looking across, you do your best not to conflict with anything else, so that people really can set this up and have it fit into all of their gaming and life schedules. So that was one main thing. And then we offer something that's different. There are, I think, one or two other retreats out there, but this is not a Kickstarter, and I never wanted it to be. And part of that is I want when people have the opportunity and decide they want to go, that they can actually make that happen and not have it possibly pulled out from under them, and also not have to come up with the full amount for this amazing event in just like a few weeks. Like they can actually plan it into their budget so anybody could come that really wanted to make it.
And that's through the form of people can do a payment plan, a payment.
Absolutely.
They can start now, and then everything's ready for them at this date.
Exactly. And I'll spread it out over time. And so I have different situations where you put 25% down, and then I've split up the additional balance into quarterly or monthly even, or, there's a different options.
Oh, that's great.
Very
I mean, again,
flexible.
I'm just mentioning it because this is something that people can go and take a look at. If it's something that they do want to do, which I suggest, by the way, I mean, just all the reports from everyone who's gone, so they really enjoyed it. And it's something that check it out and see if it's for you. And if it is, there's a way to make it happen.
Being one of those people who's had the full Battlehaven experience
Twice?
of the years, yeah, it's something that even my fiance is looking forward to. Like, just my descriptions of it has gotten her super excited, because there have been times where I'm just going straight game after game after game. Hey, you want to play? Hey, you want to play? We're playing, zombie side here, or we're playing a tabletop, that we're playing, a Western game, or doing Infinity demos. And then sometimes I'm just laying back and watching other people play, or I'm going over and I bring my paints along and I sit and I paint at a table and talk to some of the other people doing hobby stuff there. And you just do what you want as you want. And then the food. Oh my gosh, Sarah. The food.
Okay, so I totally love food. I'm glad you mentioned food, because I think food makes it. But then I have a portion of Italian in me, so there's something I get some joy out of feeding people and having them be happy. And we're bringing in a chef again this year. We actually have the same chef coming this year that came last year, which I don't know, Chris, what are your thoughts on that? I thought he was fantastic.
I thought it was great. And it was cool because even the chef, like back when he was young, he had played some
40K?
Warhammer 40k,
and fantasy,
years and years ago.
both.
Yeah, and after the last day, like the last meal on the final night, after he was done cleaning up, he came out and we did demos with him for 40k awesome. And let him borrow some of the models that we have. Because another thing, like if you were at Battlehaven and you're like, hey, I want to try this Age of Sigmar army, or I want to try running some Inquisition or some Guard. Like, there are armies that you can just pick up and use.
That's right.
And play. And one of my favorite things about that is I get to play with this thing that I wanted, but I didn't know if I would enjoy playing with, and then I get kind of that chance to test it out.
Yeah, see if it's for you, or if you like a particular an army, a certain style or a certain size, you have a chance to try that out. And they're all fully painted, beautiful.
Yeah, and so it was just kind of funny to me that even down to the guy who makes the food is standing back and looking at like the giant Space Marine wall display that is holding up this massive sort of buffet style amazing home fresh cooked amazingness, and he's like, that's pretty rad. He's totally engaged with it too on a gamer level. It's
absolutely.
Like every bit like the gamer love is even in the food, folks.
That is pretty cool.
When I was interviewing chefs for this event, and I said, okay, so you're probably, you may not know, there's this thing, let me explain a little bit about what we do, and the smile on his face just got bigger and bigger. And finally I said, okay, what's going on? He goes, I played this. He says, I love this. So he actually was like, you have to hire me. He was way excited. On top of the fact that his food was amazing, and I had chances I tried things before I had him come out. He will have a new sous chef with him this year. And that'll be a nice addition to the staff. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, pretty cool. And where I was going a little bit before, but I mean, let's talk about the food some more. Let's do that. But you've actually given some people some other options for attending, and expanded some of the accommodations out to a nearby hotel.
We did. They had a brand new hotel that was just built this last year. It opened, and it's directly down the road. I mean, it's on the same road. So it's only just a couple minutes away. And that allows us to actually have more people come in on day passes, or, and also as the rooms have filled up, it's allowing people to come and stay in private quarters in a nice, really nice rooms, and then enjoy 100% of Battlehaven. So that's really been really great, because there's a limited number of suites on site, and this just expands that. So with just a reserves pass, which is kind of the day pass, you come as early as you want, leave as late. You have the full experience, all the on-site amenities, just not staying in a room on site. You can still, bring a significant other, a good buddy, split it up with the team. And that makes it even a better deal, because you can share that accommodation.
And it's
expense.
a brand new hotel there as well, I think is what you're saying. So, I mean, it's in that scenic area also. I mean, this is a vacation spot.
It is. It's lovely. It's really, really close by. And she, the gal there that I've been working with, she's offered us 20% discount to all Battlehaven guests that come and stay there. So that's on king rooms and double rooms. And so that really also just is fantastic. I'm really excited about that. That's not something we had available the year before, because they hadn't built that hotel yet. And the other hotels in town weren't quite standard that I required. So.
Well, that's great. Now, let's get back to that food, because we mentioned it's delicious, but it's also, you guys have theme nights to where the meals, or I shouldn't say maybe the whole days, the meals are themed around the games or various other things that keep you in the spirit of the weekend.
They are. Some of my favorite last year were the orcs. That was a really fun, theme. Plus the food was so dang good that night. It was ridiculous. Actually, it's good every single night, but you're right. We've been theming, the first year we did dinners only. Last year we did lunches and dinners. So we'll be doing that again this year, which is just really fun. It's fun to have some cool terrain, or, just something that kind of matches with an army.
Well, it keeps people, I mean, I know you mentioned other games, not just 40K, are played there. We're a 40K show, and obviously 40K is a big part of the weekend, but it doesn't, like, when you can live in the moment of, when you talk about your pastime, could be completely and totally submerged in
completely immersed. Absolutely.
Is awesome.
And, you can play 100% of the time if you wanted to. I mean, really around the clock, but it's fun to be with other people that have the same interests from all different walks of life, from all over the world and all over the country, and then do other social things, because I believe that, tabletop gaming is so social. It's not, you're not behind a console, you are across from a person. And so it's really great to build those relationships. In fact, I have friends from 9 years ago when I first started Valhalla. And so it's really cool to continue those kind of relationships through this setting. And then have other things to do. There's a full-size heated pool, hot tub, big theater. I mean, there's all kinds of things to do on site. So it's a great place to kick back and relax. And if someone's not into fully gaming at the same level you are, but you want to bring them along, there's so much to do that they
can do a hike in the spring there. I mean, again, I don't want the landscape to be lost as part of the draw.
Right, because, it's gorgeous. It's just so beautiful. And that time of year, it's lovely. It's getting warmer all the time, and the flowers are in bloom, and it's just, it's beautiful. And even if you want to save your entire day, there's a lake. You can go out in the morning or in the evening, go out on boats, and there's hiking and trails. There's just so much to do just to be in the space, or just to sit on one of the multiple decks and relax with a book, or painting your figures, or building your army. It's just a lovely setting for that too.
There was a gentleman there who came from England, and he brought his lady friend with him. She wasn't very much into tabletop, but every morning she was out running in the wilderness, enjoying the outdoors. Mm-hmm. And she was still perfectly well taken care of. She had things to do. It's relaxing. It's great. And the location, especially where with Utah, a lot of times you think of the Red Rocks and things like that, but This is more in like the more granite and green part of Utah is kind of how I describe it, where it's still got that sort of naturalistic beauty, but it's not like the harsh heat of southern Utah.
No, it's definitely not the desert. What's fun though is right behind the resort is a Red Rocks cliff. So you get that color and that beauty, but it's set in all of the greenery. And so, just stretching out ahead, the Rocky Mountains, all purple and blue in the distance. The sunsets are amazing, reflecting off of the lake.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
There's trails everywhere. There's waterfalls. There's hiking. There's biking. I mean, there's places to go and see. Sundance is like not even, maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I think, down the road to get to Sundance. And that has all of the art and the artisan shops and things to see there. There's just
like the
so
local
much.
sort of craft beer kind of stuff for the people who are inclined that way.
There's so many craft
haunt.
breweries around the area as well. You're absolutely right. So lots to do. And entertainment, local fun things to see and do.
Man, absolutely awesome. And last year, I believe you guys brought in some, and I know you're going to be lining things up over the course of the next several months and, for the event, but I think you had people that did tutorials and things like classes and clinics on some hobby stuff.
We do, and I love that part. To me, we have great participation in that. We had people out doing airbrushing because I think there's a lot of people that are in the hobby end of it, and they'd like to get those effects, but they're afraid, to hold that airbrush gun, just destroy everything.
When you were spraying paint onto a model you've already painted, it's like terrifying. It really is.
Definitely. So some of the things we did, we've done that a couple years. We've had the airbrushing class. We've also done classes on weathering, on techniques for terrain building and basing to really create a beautiful setting. I think that can really make a big difference. You spend a lot of time creating this beautiful piece, but you need to have it in a place. It needs to reside somewhere, and the basing is huge. We've done special effects, face and eye painting. That's another thing that, if you got a beautiful model and then the eyeballs are looking sideways and they're too big, it ruins the whole thing. So learning how to do that, if you struggle with that, or if you just want some new techniques. Army painting to do it quick, but still have it look really good on the table.
Yeah.
Done that
like
as well.
Tabletop quality, I don't want to call it speed painting, but just it's a lot like how we structure our finishing moves, Paul, where we talk about these are the things that you're not doing to be masterclass, but the things that will make your model pop.
Exactly.
I dig it.
So, and if you are master class, we have some great artists that are really amazing and well known in the industry that are teaching, and we're having some of them out again for sure, who will be helping you if you'd like. And they're doing some things privately too. I know last year, Lynn of Metalhead Minis, she spent a lot of time not only doing some classes for groups, but she also worked with people one-on-one and helped them with some things that they're just, hey, I'd like to learn how to do this or that. And so that was awesome. She's amazing.
She's just hilarious to listen to. I love her just straight New Yorker accent, like as thick as you could imagine. Well, Bostonian maybe might be the more technically correct.
I'm sure you're getting warmer. I don't know.
Yeah, it's up there.
All I know
in
is
the
I love
Northeast,
it.
in the New England. It is a New England dialect.
It made me feel like I was at home because I actually grew up in that area. So it was way cool to have her there.
Nice.
And she's definitely coming back this year. We have some really great people coming this year, so I'm excited.
I mean, this, we've talked it up, but it's all there. I mean, this is a way to get away, and you can play 24 hours a day if you want.
Yeah, there was one night I was up until about 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Before I was just like, you know what? I should probably go to bed.
We had a few people who on the last night, they just did not want to leave, and they stayed up absolutely all night. They basically at 6:30 or 7 when I came out of my room, and they were still up. They hadn't gone to bed. They were still having a good time because they just did not want to leave. And yet a pile of people went to bed early, got up early. You can do whatever you want. I mean, it's well insulated. You're not dealing with terrible, like a lot of noise. It's just a really well built place, so you can really have the experience you want to have.
I think that's the best thing to take away. Like, we're talking about a lot of the stuff to do and how you can do it as much as you want, but you could also do as little as you want. want. You could be playing a game. You could just want to be near the action, you know.
Absolutely. Just hanging around, eating snacks and doing whatever you want to do. I mean, there's always several of us who are ready at any moment to play board games and card games if you want to break from doing tabletop games for a little bit, or you just have a little bit of time before you've got a scheduled game with someone else. There's just a lot to do there. And I know I keep saying there's so much to do, but there really is. And what I found is that our guests really do take advantage of it. Not everybody takes advantage of everything, but everybody takes advantage of something.
There's enough there, so people are going to find things to do. I mean, there
really is. Yeah, and so many fun people. I mean, so many great people that relationships are really built there that last for years. I mean,
let me tell you something funny, Sarah, because I'm in training at a new job this week, and the training manager is somebody who I met at Battlehaven.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
It's small.
So that's like we were looking at you like, I remember you. What do I remember you from? Oh, you're Rich's friend. Oh, that's right. We were at Battlehaven. Right. It was great.
That is super
That is
cool.
awesome. Well, I mean, if people check it out at battlehaven.us, look at the pictures, you'll see that we're not exaggerating the environment, the scenic environment in any way, shape, or form. It is absolutely beautiful. And there are multiple ways to take advantage of this. And there's a ton to do, or treat it like a vacation. Go out there with your wife, and hang out,
That's right.
and get some games when you want, eat some of this delicious chef prepared food, and enjoy something out of your normal environment. Heck, if you're in a place, what I find a lot with tournaments and stuff, granted, this is not a tournament. I don't want to say it is, but when I go to tournaments, I find people there that they go to some of these larger things, these gatherings of people, because they're in an environment where it just doesn't happen. They don't have anybody, they just don't have people in the circle of friends that want to sit down and play board games. You're going to find it here,
Exactly.
I think this really can't be unsaid. I think this is a great place to go, hang out, have a good time.
It really is, and they're all adults. I mean, it's 18 and over, and so it's just a really good time, and a great place to come and meet people and to be with people that you love.
So plenty of lead time. Yeah, May 14th to the 18th, 2019. We're gonna. Sarah, is it okay if we touch base with you along the way?
Absolutely, I'd love that.
Well, awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap up?
Well, I would just want to reiterate that it's affordable for everyone. So that's something I think a lot of times people will think, oh, that sounds like awesome, but it sounds like it's going to be way too much money. I can't make that happen. I don't have a budget like that. But this, we can fit it in your budget. So, that's a big deal right there, is don't count yourself out. Don't think it's not for you because you just don't know how you'd afford it. It's not that kind of thing. It's super high class, but I still keep it as affordable as possible. And I think that's just really important to know.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, Sarah, you guys have a good night.
Thanks so much, Paul. You too.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Forced Narrative is brought to you by DiceHead.com. www.dicehead.com. Games, hobby, supplies, and comics. They have it all.
Hey everybody, welcome to a special segment of Forge the Narrative. This is going to be a player spotlight. I've got Matt Bodnarchuk. Did I get close with either one of those?
Man, you hammered it the second time. Right on.
Dude, we had the pleasure of playing at this year's LVO, and I'm really happy to welcome you to the show, all the way from British Columbia. That might explain the last name. I have a feeling you played hockey at some point during your life.
I definitely did play hockey, and Bodnarchuk is more Saskatchewan, but yeah, man, I grew up in BC, and that's where I live, so happy to be here.
And you're part of the BC Battle Brothers group.
I am, yes.
Man, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for reaching out. The reason that I'm so keen to have you on here is because, of course, I'm not kidding when I said I had the pleasure of playing you at the LVO and, meeting other people in your group. And you guys are what I consider like some of the most awesome tournament players, the archetype of people that you encounter at a lot of tournaments. Just real good people, invested in the game, fun to play against, but also extremely competitive.
Yeah, man, like, you know, going to the LVO for the first time this year was like a big deal for me and my team. Like, my buddy George that you met there at the table that day, he was kind of the last minute jump on the ship to come, and he didn't get to play because the championship was obviously sold out at that point. But yeah, man, like, it was LVO was great. I got to play some really fantastic players. I got to meet you. I was actually really frustrated that day when I came to our table because I've been waiting for like an hour in line for beers. And we've been waiting in that because the app crashed, and I was like, man, like my wife's gonna kill me. I told her we'd go for dinner tonight, and I'm still waiting an extra hour and a half to play my game or whatever. So, but yeah, man, it was a great experience. Surprised I came away with second place and best in Renaissance. Like that was huge for me. Like that's something like a lifetime achievement for me. Like to win something like that's just crazy.
Dude, it's awesome. I mean, well, you got a great painted army. You played well. And I mean, I'm not even kidding. It's a good game. I mean, a sport. Think about what happened there. We were both playing in a tournament, and then I mean, it's not a reflection of the tournament itself, but there was an issue with the app where round 3 didn't start until an hour or so late.
Yeah, like and, it was.
Well, I mean, it could have mounted up to a poor experience in our attitudes or whatever at the table, but it didn't. But that's part of the climate there at the event. Everyone's excited, but then again, it's a testament to your sportsmanship. Who knows? I mean, I know how I was feeling right at that moment.
Yeah, like, and that was the funny thing, right? Is like, I look at my player's app and it's like last minute, I'm like, I feel like I was late because I wasn't really expecting that app to come back online, to tell you the truth, that night. So I look and I'm like, oh, I'm playing Blood Angels. Oh, no. Like, my list is not prepared to play Blood Angels. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I went and I got a couple beers for the table and then came down. And honestly, man, like, I didn't recognize you. I had no idea who you were. And you were a really good guy. And I'm like, looking at your army and I'm like, man, Blood Angels I was playing is really good. Like, this could be a good game. Like, because I was playing pure Salamanders and you were playing pure Blood Angels. And, like, you did not see a lot of that at that tournament. Like, for somebody to walk in there and play a straight, like, all-around list, like, it wasn't there, man. No, like, it really wasn't.
It's very fun. I'm glad you finished up as well as you did with the award. I mean, it's incredibly well deserved. More on the tournament player side, like, you said you're playing pure Salamanders, and I'm willing to bet that, like, a lot of people listening might have just rolled their eyes. But you played really well with the army that you wanted to play with. And that means, I mean, I'm going to say it for you, you're a good player. And so I thought it might be cool to kind of talk about how you came to that decision to play that and what decisions you made with your army list based on the faction that you wanted to play.
I'll tell you right now, I play 3 factions of Warhammer. I've been playing a long time. I played every faction, I want to say. But I play Space Marines. I only own Salamanders. I play Sisters of Battle, and I play Imperial Knights. And I all play those because they all mix together well. They look awesome. Every model that I own is painted to the quality of what you saw. And like going to LVO, I'm not expecting to win anything. I'm just going to have fun and do my best. Winning 3 out of 6 games is my goal. And, I play test a fair bit. And, a good player in my mind is what determines a good player is like what they do with that last 150 to 200 points in their list.
Oh, interesting.
It really, like, those last couple of points seem to make or break a game because, like, my list was not a big list. I had heavy vehicles. I didn't play any stratagems. I'm playing 2 Predators, a Leviathan, a Punisher, a Fire Raptor, a couple bikes, like scouts, like nothing like crazy. I will say I had favorable matchups. Like the next game I played after you, Paul, I played 5 Fire Raptors with Baden, and I was what do I do? Like when you get to the table, I'm 2-1 now. First game on day 2, and I'm playing 5 Fire Raptors Baden and a bunch of Brimstones, and I'm like, okay, well, probably don't have much of a chance to beat this, but
that sounds daunting. Yeah,
man, I tabled them on turn 2. Don't ask me how I did it.
Holy crap!
Turn 2, I did seize on him. I killed 1 Fire Raptor, wounded another one. He moved the other 4 up, dropped a Baden in the middle of them. In my opinion, he shot at the Leviathan, which was a little strange to me. I feel like a lot, like in this edition, people still don't really know what it does exactly.
It's an intimidating model. It's beefy looking. You hear people talk about it on the internet. I get it.
But actually playing the Leviathan, like in my opinion, it's not that good. Like it has the ability to be good if you come to it. but in reality, it's short range. It's tough, but if you tie it up with Nurglings, like, it's there for the rest of the game. Like,
True, very true.
Nothing. So, he put everything into the Leviathan, didn't kill it, it had 3 wounds left, and I fired back, and his turn, all he had left was Abaddon. He charged and died to Overwatch. So,
wow.
That guy was a great guy.
Inglorious end there.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, in, sportsmanship, I didn't have one bad game. All the guys that I played were really good players, was there to have a good time. Every army was painted reasonably well. I will say, though, that when I got to the final table, I was 4-1. I hadn't played Eldar all weekend, and I attribute that to my success that weekend, as I was able to, miss those bad matchups. And, on my last game there, the guy, the Eldar player, none of his Reapers were on bases, and, half his army wasn't painted, and he was a nice guy, don't get me wrong, but, like, final table, you're playing Eldar.
Yeah, and it's not beautiful.
Yeah, it's not beautiful. It doesn't have to be beautiful, man. The effort should be there, but, that's all we're asking for, right?
Sure, yeah.
And, like, again, my buddy came up and he's like, hey, man, like, why don't you get those pulled off the table? And I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm not going to win like that, Like, I feel, it really doesn't matter. I still feel like I have a good chance to beat him. And it was a fairly close game, but I definitely went down hard at the end there. I think I took it to full 6 turns that game, but I did get tabled on the last turn.
Oh, wow. Well, still, in ITC missions, that's you can grind out points, and it could have gone the other way.
You betcha, man. Like, and again, I had never even played Eldar in this edition. Like, my meta, like, where I live is Tal, Tyranids, Blood Angels, Admech, a little bit of Knights here and there, but for the most part, I don't have Eldar to play against a lot. So
in a few minutes, we'll have to talk about Knights.
I'll get there, because I'm sure that's what that's what's on everybody's mind right now.
And we're recording this right after I recorded my Knight episode. I recorded it yesterday. I'm a little late. There was a week, I had to take a week off from recording, and so I was playing catch up when we did our Knight review, last night. I mean, we didn't do a full review because, it's already been done, that kind of stuff. I didn't want to bore people, but definitely gave some of, our takes on it. So and we have, Ricky Addington on the show, he's a crazy fanboy Knight player.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but I'm curious to hear your take on it. But when we were talking a little bit before the show, you were talking about some Harlequin and Dark Eldar shenanigans, and I'd like to talk about that for a second if we can.
That'd be great, man. I want to just go out on a limb here, and I really, like, my opinion's my opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and say Drukhari, Dark Eldar, whatever you prefer, is the best all-around book to date. Period.
You are serious. You're stamping the seal right there.
Stamping the seal, man. And you know what? The Harlequin book, I love it, but Harlequin standalone are never gonna be that top table army. The whole thing with, like, the FAQ only being able to have 3 of whatever, like, that's the whole book, man. Like, they just don't have the tools on their own. But to mix in, Cabal of the Black Heart with some 12-man troop squads with a solitaire, a troop master, like, man, that's so deadly.
They're very fast. And then the Cabal of the Black Heart, which you're basically, I mean, the best stratagem in the game is that Nullify, the Agents of Vex stratagem.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% sold because, like, don't get me wrong, like, that is a fantastic stratagem. So again, I play Salamander. My whole list pretty much for stratagem is kill shot. Like, that is what I need to do damage. But at the end of the day, if you cancel my kill shot, I still am shooting you with 3 predators. Like, not bad.
No, like, I get it. But when you're looking at other armies that do have those haymaker stratagems, now your army is a little bit insulated from these types of things. I mean, I completely agree with that. I mean, it's a solid choice. And that's what we were talking about earlier. You made a conscious decision to not rely on those types of things.
I just got back from a major GT, I want to say the beginning of May 7th, May 8th. It's the Storm of Silence up in Spokane, Washington. Probably my favorite tournament. And I actually was able to play against Drukhari Army, and Drukhari did win that major GT. And I played against a pure Cabal Blackheart, and the player was a very good player. I got to the table, hadn't looked at a book, hadn't looked at a stratagem. He was very helpful with just saying, like, hey, this is what this does, this is what this does now. and we set up, and I didn't know what to do, so I just lie in the back of my board, and he did the same thing because he's looking at my last cannons and Fire Raptor.
Yep.
And my deployment won me the game. That was it. But like when he started moving up that first turn, he's got like 25 blaster weapons. It's just like, and you can put way more than that in an army.
You can't.
Like,
they're just so cheap. They're the masters of MSU, if you ask me. Because granted, your whole job is putting your models back in the box, but you have more models and they all have good guns.
Man, like it's so good. And in my opinion, best unit in that book, Reaver Jet Bike.
Okay, now let's hear that. That's the first time I've heard that. So tell me
again.
why.
Like I'm being biased, but like for a gunline army, and this is right now. How many people have come and said, "Oh, gunline now the FAQ dropped. Gunline's really gonna be the best thing." All right, that's what we're hearing. Well, I tell you what, you got an Imperial line of any Imperial gunline army. Those Reaver jet bikes can move like 22 inches and still charge. They get in and tie up all your tanks and stuff. That game is over first turn, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I feel that's one of the strengths of the Harlequins too. So if you're not taking those and you are taking Harlequins, then you take the Skyweaver jet bikes that move 40,000 inches or whatever.
The only thing I think with the downside of the Harlequins is maybe that their point cost. Like we're talking like I can't tell you the actual point cost right now on a
Harlequin is like 40 points when you put a shuriken cannon on it.
Right. So after that, so now you're backed up. Like say your Reavers, you say you've got like 350 points invested in 18 Reavers or whatever, 3 squads of 6, and they're up the board first turn and they're dying, but they're doing exactly what you want. Now you've got 1,500 points of blasters moving up the board to finish everything off. Like you're holding objectives with warriors or witches. You've got their flyers are ridiculous. They're super strong. They're dropping bombs. They're shooting tons of strong weapons. And then not only that, when you're trying to defend yourself with these crazy stratagems, like I don't care what you're playing, if you drop a 3-point stratagem and it's denied, like
that is a heartbreaker. That is a serious stab, a dagger, if you will. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like what you're talking about, and that's something that we're going to see more of. I mean, I think a lot of people are quick to write off Dark Eldar, Drukhari. Again, I'm going to call them Dark Eldar probably the day I die. But,
yeah, Dark Eldar. That's what they are.
But they're quick to write off Drukhari because of the way they were in previous editions.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a lot of fanboy Dark Eldar players out there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Dark Eldar sitting on shelves with lots of dust, just waiting for this, man, for this book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, they really haven't changed any of the guns and stuff. Like, they've always had all this stuff.
That's a great point. I mean, these are the blasters and things like that. And I think the Haywire cannons on the Scourges.
Scourges, correct, yeah.
Might not be something that people have currently, but I love the new Haywire rule.
Man, and like Harlequins, like they've got it too. Yeah. And like, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It is. Well, man, let's change topics to knights. So,
all right.
You being a knight player, I want to hear obviously, I don't know if you've looked at the codex specifically yet, but you've seen what's on the community site and maybe seen what's up on other people's shows and blogs and stuff. But what's your initial impressions of the knights?
I had to recalibrate because when I first saw the rules, I was just like, man, errants are the best thing in the book. They're finally good. You can make them awesome. They're cheap-ish. And I was just like, I've got a knight errant sitting on my shelf. It's just painted, ready to, haven't played it yet. And like, you can give this thing 7 attacks, a 4-up invuln from shooting, and a 2+ save if you want. You can even make it a 3+ invuln against shooting if you want to with the right stratagem. And, when you get into like, charge anything, stomp attacks are unreal. There's 21 stomp attacks, man. 21 stomp attacks. Hitting on 2s now because the weapon skill is +2. Like they got the
D3 damage on those things too. It's obnoxious.
It's obnoxious, but like again, I play knights, but I've never been a competitive knight player because they haven't really been competitive in my opinion. So, I've got a lancer sitting on my my shelf as well, which I think now is completely useless. He's 480 points. Well, for another 100 points, I can get a Valiant in. And
well, if I were a betting man, I'm willing to bet that we'll see an alignment between the stratagems and stuff for the Forge World Knights also.
Yes, we will. I guess the one thing I'm concerned about is the point cost, because even at 480 points now, the Cerastus Knights just aren't worth it. They really aren't.
Turn 1 charge.
turn one charge, but like you get a 14-inch move, like with the strategy.
With the 3+ invulnerable save in combat, and not every knight gets. Now I'm playing devil's advocate, really. I mean, like I think that the point cost on something that's going to die turn 1 or 2 is significant. I think that you're going to have a relatively low drop count with knights, and so that gives you the ability to go first more often most of the time. You know, it is most of the time. It's not as significant most of the time. But they're going to struggle in missions, if you ask me. But I think go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, because like you're 100% right. First turn charge, you get the 3+ invuln in close combat. But you know what, Paul? The damage you can put out with a single Serapis Knight is not worth 500 points, because you need to kill multiple targets. Like this Valiant, you can delete 3-4 units a turn, no problem. If you can get it running up the board in one turn, that's the damage that thing can put out.
I do love the missiles that you can shoot characters with. I mean, I think that's going to really disappoint some people.
You know, if you have the guts to throw this thing in your army, you learn how to play it well, man, you are going to disappoint some Eldar players.
But I think don't take the one with the 4 missiles. Take 2 missiles.
Man, I don't care if you got a 3-up invuln or whatever. You play a 3 Shadow Sword list, you're done. Like that does not matter.
You're never getting off more than 2 missiles. I mean, like if you make it to shoot the 3rd missile, you know, you're probably need to be doing something else anyway. Like that's
Well, and not to mention, like, this thing is tough, but you need the command point to do it, man. Like, I don't know, like, you gotta have the guard command farm, and like, for me, like, playing a single, chapter army, like, that's what I like. I like playing like one faction. That's it. Like,
there's a lot of people out there that are like that, and I know we talked about like making choices to in spite of whatever it is you really want to do, but there's a ton of people out there. Well, I shouldn't say there are a ton of people that do it, but the game is in a place where you can do that and expect reasonable amounts of success.
And that's again, like, you need to go to, like, before every tournament, you gotta ask yourself, why am I going, what are my goals? Am I going for best sportsmanship, best appearance, best overall, or I'm going there to be best general? If I'm going for best general, I do not care about anything else except maybe sportsmanship. And that is a strong maybe. So,
well, we've even talked about it in some of the events that I'm a part of, is making at least one sport vote be a requirement for winning best general.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'm just saying that's something we thought about.
No, man, like, there's lots of talk about how to solve that problem of getting guys to be in all aspects of the game. You know what I mean? Like, being sportsmanship is what we, like, at the BC Battle Brothers, like, that is our number one goal going to tournaments. You know, I'm probably, like, I want to say I'm probably the worst sportsmanship on the team. If that
that's saying something.
You know, like, but when we play each other at home, like, it's kick your teeth in. I don't care if you cry when you go home. But as soon as we leave the basement, you know, of our home tables, we get out to the tournament. It's like, how do I make this guy have the best time here and still beat him? You know what I mean? How do I take advantage of that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think playing these nights, I think you're going to have a lot of fun games with them, because night on the table always means that there's something cool that's going to happen. You know, whether it explodes and kills half your army that's in range of it, or, you know, you blowing up a single knight with one predator or whatever. It's like, it's going to add a lot of flavor to the game, I think.
I love it that harpoon is so ridiculous that it can pick up just one shot so many things.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like that is so cool. Like, obviously you need to be within range. Like, that 12 inches is kind of maybe a handicap, but when that thing is in range, you're going to have a bad time. Like, you're not going to enjoy that.
Well, you have to think the full threat range is its move range and that 12 inches. So, I mean, it can get there. I think it's unknown what the actual outcome is going to be of this, but to you, I guess, is that when the Knights first came out, I mean, like, what was it, 6th edition?
I guess it would have been around end of 6th, beginning of 7th.
When they first hit, they really did shape things. They made every mission had to change to accommodate the Knights. People had to change the makeup of their army to get past the Knight as like a gatekeeper list. Like, the Knights maybe weren't winning tournaments, but you can encounter them in round 2 and it'll be a spoiler for you. So they're like what we call a gatekeeper list.
Well, I can tell you, when I first played a Knight, I had no idea how to defeat it. I thought, I guess that's the game. game. Like, I can't kill him. You know, like, I feel like armies started to change when knights came into the actual game. It was a game changer, man. Like
do you think the codex though? Do you think this codex is a game changer enough to put them back on the table?
I think it's good enough that you will see, like, of course it's good enough for one knight to be able to, if you're running like Space Marines, you could have a knight for that 350 points if you have access to the command points, because you don't really need them when you're playing Space Marines, in my opinion. Like, because you don't really, there's nothing you use other than like maybe kill shot or like the odd heavy bolter one or whatever that I can.
Yeah, you got 3+ armor and reliable bolter shots. What else do you need?
Yeah, like what else do you need, right? Like Death Watch. I think Death Watch paired up with Knight, I think would be a very cool list.
Interesting. Why do you say that?
Just with the Death Watch offer you that max firepower, that volume of firepower that a Knight does.
A quality firepower with their special ammunition and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like in my army, my Salon, I run like 84 heavy bolters, man. Every 84 heavy bolters can take down pretty much anything you want, especially with the Chapter Master reroll. And I think that adding that kind of firepower to a knight list, like a 3-knight base list with the remaining 800 points directed at getting like scouts for like controlling objectives and board control with a lot of high strength 5 volume of fire, like I think that's the way to go, man. I like it makes sense, because anytime you're rerolling dice, you're changing the statistics of the game
for sure
quite a bit. You know, the knights can do the damage up front, especially now that you can outflank a knight. If you outflank,
Sally Forth is what you're talking about.
Yeah. So you know, like if you, the Shadow Sword thing, like outflanking a Shadow Sword, I can't beat that list no matter what, because as soon as the Shadow Sword comes out, it kills 2 tanks on the board and I can't recover from it. Not to mention the whole rest of the army. But having an errant in my list with the ability to outflank it kind of gives me a counter ability. So he's got to decide now, does he put that Shadow Sword on the table or does he outflank it? Because if he outflanks it, I'm probably going to outflank my knight and wait for it to come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, exactly. So
it gives you options. Yeah, that's cool.
It gives you options, but now the Death Watch with that -3 bolters they've got, strength 4, and they're going to have, like, you can have so many of them. Like, intercessors are, so good, man. They're so good. And like I've been listening to these cheese builds, like the Death Star, the Death Watch Death Star there, on a couple other podcasts. And like, it sounds vicious, but super, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, it's super,
is it is streaky where it's not reliable? I mean, what are you thinking? It's
not reliable in a way. Like, it has to be a perfect storm for what you're looking for. You know, that like everything's got to be right. Like, if you just move that squad up there in a Corvus and drop them without the right conditions, like, you need that support from like the Custodes, like Smash Captains or whatever, you know, Donnie or Jetbike. But the Knights, I don't know, man. I just think they're going to be really well. If they're pointed appropriately, which it sounds like they are now.
They did get a reduction. I mean, the shooty one's got a good reduction. The Gallant, I think, is a steal for what it is. I mean, it has a 2+ weapon skill.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You know what? I totally confused that. I'm talking about the Gallant the whole time, not the air. Sorry, man. I'm looking at it right now and I'm totally confused, man. Sorry. Yeah, the Gallant is what I'm talking about.
I think that's what we were talking about too, is running like a 4 or 5 Gallant list.
A 4 or 5 Gallant list.
Hoping for the best.
Yeah, you give that like the rate of fire from like heavy bolters and stuff, like rapiers and stuff. Yeah, man. But the Gallant is definitely where it's at now. That Death Grip is gonna be so fun to do.
That will be fun. Yeah.
You would not want to be running Blood Angels when a knight is in your territory.
No, absolutely not. Especially with the one that you could, give it, if he uses the stratagem to give it a combat, or uses the relic and then the stratagem that gives them a better close combat save. Like, it's just, there's nothing that can be done. It's such a bad day for the Angels at that point.
Yeah, geez.
Well, okay. Well, what's next for you? Because I know you travel to tournaments. So what's the next thing? Even if it's a local one, what's the next thing you're preparing for?
I'm actually going to the Boise Cup. It's in Boise, Idaho. It has been confirmed, I believe, that it's a GT now, a major GT. And it is going to be on June 23rd, I believe. And I'm flying down there with a couple guys from Spokane that hang out with. That's the one thing. And again, like the community, you meet lots of different guys, and like even yourself, right? Like you connect, and it's awesome to go and do these events with other guys.
It absolutely is. You know, even you go to these events and you see some of the same faces, and it just kind of feels it's a good time, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. So I'm going down for the Boise Cup, and I'm expecting there to be not a ton of Eldar, to be honest. I think I'm going to see a lot of Chaos. I'm going to see a lot of Imperial Guard, some Eldar. Yeah, man. Like, and then you get the random like AdMech and stuff too, right? So that's pretty much what the meta is around here, like in the Pacific Northwest, I'd say. Oh, and Custodes. There'll be lots of Custodes there, I believe.
It's a beautiful army. That's one of those that, yeah, there's like a compromise someone can make. I would like a pretty army. Okay, cool. I don't want to paint a lot of pretty models. Great, let's do Custodes.
Hey, man, like, and that's just it. Like, even the base spray, that gold that you can buy from G-Dub.
Oh, Retributor Armor's up there with the Miracle product list. It really is.
You put a little null oil on that, and it just blocks the rest of the colors, man. It looks good. Yeah, you're
not lying. You're not lying. Well, Matt, man, thanks a lot for coming on and talking with me, and hopefully I can catch up with you in a little bit after that tournament.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I'm looking forward to coming back. You got a ticket for LVO, did you not?
I'm going to the LVO. I'll just say that.
Perfect.
I'm not sure what I'm doing there yet, but I'm going.
Well, yeah. Well, right on, man. Thanks for having me on the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome, man. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
I am your father.